Chair, I would like to reintroduce Mr Caulfield.
Thank you, Chairman. The REM report, I think, is 30 pages. That's typical of other companies, etc. You suggested, in response to one person, that the shareholders here should read the REM report. I don't think anyone here would have read all 30 pages, and if they did, they wouldn't understand everything in the REM report. This is not your fault, particularly at AMP, but across the board, I read the annual reports. It's very difficult reading to try and actually see. It's quite opaque. It's not transparent. But to bring it back to AMP, I understand fixed REM, 1.7 million. I don't agree that there should be short-term REM and long-term REM. I think that's part of making it too complicated. And I think there should be a discussion with other corporations or regulators about just having a fixed REM and a long-term REM, long-term incentive. In the long-term, in the incentive there where it was reputation, the only measurement was the rep track. That's not enough. It needs other measures. In terms of customers, it needs... How do you measure the customers? How have you actually measured for Alexis, you're going to get this bonus? Where's the measurement? Can anyone... I bet no one in the room knows actually how that was measured.
Oh yeah, we have a customer satisfaction rating that we use.
Is that Net Promoter Score?
No, no, it's not a Net Promoter Score.
So what is that customer satisfaction rating?
It's a customer satisfaction rating. So we measure our customer satisfaction through surveys and other things on a monthly basis, and so it's the change in that customer satisfaction score.
Okay, and how do you measure it?
Through survey.
Well, you don't put the surveys in here. You don't put the numbers...
It's already 30 pages.
Yes, but you could do thank you very much, but a little bit smarmy. You could do a simplified one-page version that simply says number of customer complaints, number that go to IDR, number that go to customer advocacy.
I think you'll see that in our sustainability report. We detail the number of customer complaints that go to the Ombudsman, etc., and the change in that over time.
If it's in the sustainability report, I recommend just one page be lifted to put over here. You could have 20 measures. You could have number of breach reports, number of court cases. It's a measurement we could look, not just for your institution, but across institutions to say, who's got more complaints? Who's got less complaints? Are they rising or falling? I think we could compare, just to finish, and we could compare yourselves year on year. So if you had 46% complaints last year and 22% complaints this year, that's a big improvement. That's not opaque, that's easy to understand. When I read this 30-page report, that's opaque.
Well, we are, as you rightly point out, subject to regulation and legislation in terms of how we put that report together. So it's very prescriptive in terms of the information we have to provide. And, you know, I agree with you that having to sit down and read 30 pages on remuneration is a difficult task for anybody to make head nor tail of. But that's the legislation. So we need to comply with that legislation, obviously, and we do. In terms of the changes in customer complaints, etc., the Ombudsman actually puts out statistics on that, I think either quarterly or 6 monthly, that shows the change by organisation over time, and it's something that the board monitors and takes into consideration when we're thinking about what we do with STI, etc. So whilst there's specific targets in the remuneration report that, as you've called out, there's also discretion that the board has to exercise should we see other things occurring where we believe the specific measures in the scorecard don't truly represent what's going on. So, you know, we take a broader view than just the scorecard, but it's an incentive scheme. if you're going to incentivise people, they have to understand on what basis it is that they're being incentivised so that they can measure their performance and understand the position that they are in relative to that scorecard. So it's a very complex area of governance. You know, when I first started, you used to get a fixed pay and if you're lucky you got a bonus, but the world's moved on.
When I look through this and I see when Ms George came in as CEO and the share price today, you're talking about being selective with times. If we looked at that period of time, the share price within a few cents is the same. Same share price as it was when you started in August 2021 and the share price today. It might be around $1.10, $1.15, $1.20.
I think it was around, look, put it in the ballpark of 10%, right? But in the interim, there's been a $1.1 billion return of capital as well. So if you want to look at total shareholder return, you've got to take that into account along with the dividends that have been paid and the share price.
Yeah, you do have to factor them all, but share price is one thing that is probably front of mind to a lot of people.
Yep.
And when we can look at other metrics, one of the other questioners mentioned Qantas, and you said, "Oh well, that's not something we should look at. They're different industries." But it's
no, I didn't say that. I said it's difficult to make comparisons across sectors,
across different industries or different sectors. But actually, you use Qantas in your rep track to award Alexis the bonus.
But that's, again, I explained that in terms of reputation and companies trying to move their reputation.
I'm just talking about short-term incentives and long-term incentives. The business of the company, the remuneration is what I'm talking about, and that's what you're talking about. So I'm just saying it was relevant.
Okay.
It needs to be, as much as you've got regulators telling you what you have to do, what a board needs to do, what you should be looking at, if I could ask you in your own time to consider, is what other measures can we put out there to make it easy for shareholders to understand? Not 30 pages might tick all the boxes of this is what's got to be done, but that's abiding by the regulators, but it's not assisting shareholders.
Yeah, well,
you could put up a single-page report. I've raised this with other banks and they're considering it.
if you have a look, I think at page 45 and 46 of the annual report, somewhere around that. 54.
The scorecard and the outcomes.
It has got sort of 2 or 3 pages of 53 and 54.
Oh yes, you can see my highlights.
Yeah.
I've been right through them. That's not enough.
Oh, okay.
Reputation, weighting 10%, we're giving Alexis 11.4%. What's reputation based on? Absolute rep track, end of story. Nothing else. So that whole reputation is based on one measurement. That is not enough.
Yeah, I think I explained that the board looks at other things besides what's there.
But the shareholders can't see that. I think I explained the opaqueness of it. I do appreciate that you look at other things. I do appreciate that the board has discretion. But I hope you can appreciate that the shareholders in the room, all listening in, 400,000 shareholders, put them up on a Q&A here, they wouldn't understand it.
Yep.
Something could be done to say, let's make this more digestible and comply with the regulators.
Well, we're always looking to improve our reporting.
Thank you.
Thank you.